Hey friends, welcome to the channel. Welcome back to the channel. I'm Scott, that's Michael. We're here today to answer some questions on, is Lake of the Ozarks a good place for your investment? And we've done this before. It wasn't too long ago where I did a video talking about year over year performance, right? What did 2024 look like? What did 23 all the way back to 21 look like? And I typically want to stop and pause and go over some numbers with you, because at some point in time when we're talking, you're asking that question like, hey, tell me about the lake, and what's the appreciation level like, and is there a bubble that's gonna pop, and hey, if I invest my money or I make a home purchase, is that smart? Am I gonna get my money back? Am I gonna make money? And I think that's a healthy conversation, and as consumers, we ask that question on almost everything we buy, right? So you buy a car, an RV, you buy a boat, you invest money in the stock market or 401ks, you're investing into something, and real estate is no different, right? If I make a purchase, tell me about the area, tell me about the city, tell me what the appreciation, is this a smart investment? And so Michael and I wanted to dive into some first quarter numbers, share some stats with you, and help kind of answer those questions. Whether you're looking to relocate permanently, and this is a new move for you and your family, is this a retirement purchase for you? Is this a second home, vacation home? Or are you looking to just make an investment for short-term rentals? So we want to dive into this video, share a few stats and numbers, help answer some of those questions, and of course, reach out, right? Call, text, email, let us know what other questions you have, and we will happily be able to answer those. But we're gonna look at four categories. We're gonna look at lakefront, single-family residential homes. We're gonna look at off-lake, single-family residential homes. We're gonna look at the condominium lakefront communities, and then we're gonna talk about some million-dollar properties and above. So I've said it before, and as we continue to get Michael involved and introduce him, the smartest dude at the lake. So I'm gonna have him kind of talk about some of these numbers when we get into some of these categories. So the first one we wanna touch on is your lakefront residential properties. And one of the stats that I look at from this is, in 2024, we were a negative 8% in transaction volume. So negative 8%. And this first quarter, we're up 3%. So why?
That's good.
Why are we, you went negative and now we're positive. So obviously that's a good number.
That's an 11-point swing.
11-point swing.
We have been absolutely busy all winter. I get this question all the time about the selling season.
Yeah.
And honestly, it is October 1 through March 31st. We sell more property than we do all season. And there's a lot of reasons for that.
Yeah.
But the big issue, I think, is the lake is positioned within a 5-hour drive from 6 major cities.
Okay.
So when you have a family or easy commute in and out of there, and now as businesses are open, weather patterns are changing, the lake is kind of open year round now.
Yeah.
Right, which is kind of nice. And so that wasn't always the case years ago.
Yeah, so the lake for sure has gone through a transition, and I think pretty sure during the pandemic time frame when people realized they could work remotely and live where they wanted to. And then I think during that time frame there was a lot of people that just wanted a different lifestyle. And didn't we see a shift from like vacation second homes to owner occupied homes, like a 40 to 60% kind of shift, right? What was that?
It was big.
A big shift.
And there was a initial punch at the early onset of the pandemic. And then and you're exactly right, as people have roles where they can work remotely, or some are even getting that 5 years out from retirement, making those decisions now while they're still working to have that retirement piece. But definitely our level of full-time residents has like quadrupled in the last couple of years.
So you have this influx in year-round residents, which if there's only so much supply, right, and then you start to get a little bit more demand, and then you obviously see, right, appreciation levels and home values start to increase because there's a more demand. In the first quarter of 2024, and hey, we have some stats in front of us. We're not that smart to have it in our brains. But in 2024, there was 111 transactions, and in the first quarter of this year, there's 114. So almost kind of even, I guess, year over year. Percentage from the first quarter of 24 to 23 was where that negative 8%, and then again, we're up 3%. So what you're kind of seeing, and what you really have seen ever since I feel like the beginning of that pandemic is this influx of people realizing that they either want a different lifestyle, they can work remotely, and so if you can earn income from wherever your job is and live a lake lifestyle, like there's becoming a lot more demand for that.
There is. And also what we've also are hearing from our clientele with kids, the school districts are just phenomenal.
Yeah.
And they're super highly rated.
Yes.
So we're seeing that people want to get their kids into the school districts down there too.
Love that. Super cool. And then Michael, you said something about like October to March, like
Yes.
this time frame from like the fourth quarter into the first quarter. Like, why is that
Yeah, so there's
such
an
an influx?
Yeah, there's a few reasons. So if the investor market wants to transact before the end of the year, buy or sell.
Yep.
You've also have individuals that want to be ready to go for the selling season. I mean, for the summer season.
Yep.
So, which we're just stepping into that here in
Yep.
mid to late April for the season. And believe it or not, we do sell more property between that time frame than we do in the middle of the summer.
Yeah.
And a lot of that is if a person buys it as an investment property or a short-term rental, it's occupied.
Yeah.
So they're hard to get in and take a look at.
Yeah.
If they bought it to use it for their family for the summer, they're at the lake using their property with their family. So
Yeah.
that's kind of a couple reasons why.
Yeah, firm understanding that this really is a seasonal place, right? You have your peak season from Memorial Day to Labor Day, and there's a lot of people that get their properties ready all winter long. They're painting, they're cleaning, they're getting ready, and right now inventory levels will pick up because they're trying to sell the home at the beginning of the season. And then you'll have obviously those that are going to use their property, this will be their last season. So they're going into it saying, hey, we're going to use this for our last season, and at the end of the year, we're going to offload it there. So again, what you'll see is this like influx in listings during certain periods of time, depending on what the season looks like. So the next category that we want to touch base on is this off-lake single-family residences. And I think as we continue to have more and more conversations and you reach out and we're showing properties, there is becoming this demand or more of an intrigue to kind of be off the lake. And what I mean by that is you don't have to have lakefront. What you can be is second tier, third tier, or a little further in. And what you're doing in that scenario is you're getting a little bit of a reduction on price point because it's not lakefront, but you're getting probably a little bit more house with a little bit more yard and elbow space and acreage with a community dock, and still have the ability to be on the lake and use the lake and go out and do whatever you want to do. But by stepping your property back a little bit into second, third, and off-lake, options, you get a bigger house with a bigger lot, but you still have access to the lake. So when we look at this category, it's almost kind of a wash from like year over year from where we are on the first quarter. In 2024, in the first quarter, there was 209 transactions. In the first quarter, we had 210. So Michael, tell us what the significance is with those numbers versus lakefront numbers.
Absolutely. We sell significantly more off-water properties than on-water properties.
Yeah.
And there's a lot, and you just hit on that, Scott. I would argue a second-tier property has a better view than a lakefront.
I agree.
Okay.
Yep.
You also get the community docks, so the community or the HOA is dealing with the docks and all the maintenance, so you don't have to deal with all that.
Yep.
Number two in that is you can save some money,
Yep.
so you can significantly not have that investment. But also, there's so many things to do in mid-Missouri.
Yep.
A huge golfing community, wineries. It's also becoming a big RV center for people that go north, south, east, and west, right out of the Midwest.
Yep.
So you get the lake life, but you also get that RV life as well. That typically is the buyer we're finding that's looking at those, and you hit the nail on the head. A little bit larger house.
Yep.
Some people want garages. You're
Yep.
off-water second tier, you get garages.
Yep.
Not always on lakefront, but those are some of the reasons why.
Yeah, and it's a great point. I mean, it's almost 100 transactions more off lake than lakefront. And we actually just helped some clients make a purchase, and they came down with 100% certainty that they wanted a lakefront home with the dock and all the things. And they actually found an amazing property that was second tier, bigger home, fairly new, bigger lot, community dock, and it's just a cool little golf cart ride down, like a super cool little golf cart ride down. So the uniqueness of that, right? Again, lakefront, I get the demand of it. You have off-lake options, second tier, third tier, and more. But again, we are doing more transactions off-lake than we are lakefront. All right, so let's roll into the condo community because this is a unique one. Mike will talk a little bit about it. But for sure, right, we talked to some of you that are in that retirement stage, and when you're retiring, you've asked those questions on the condo lifestyle. I want to live almost like a resort, lake life, retirement lifestyle, and I get it, and I love it. And there's a lot to go with condos, right? We got to talk about the HOAs and the covenants and the special assessments and all of those things, which we'll get into if that's what you're looking for. But just from a stat number perspective, we're down 11% in transactions on the lakefront condo community. So why?
So there's actually a few reasons why.
Why?
Well,
Yeah.
the one that comes to mind right out of the gate that is affecting people is the short-term rental market in the condo market specifically has gotten saturated.
Super
So that's
saturated.
one of it. So people that bought specifically for that reason are not yielding the demand that they were
Correct.
yielding through the pandemic. That's number one. Number two, the big one is commercial insurance is up about 35%, and that is hitting everybody across the board, no matter what condo complex it is. And then the third issue is the HOA assessments that you just talked about. There's
Yes.
deferred maintenance, and most of these have elevators that need maintenance. Outside decks, the docks, when you have 500 to 1,000 slips in a dock, those docks need maintenance every year, and that cost is significantly going up as well. So those are kind of some of the reasons why we're seeing the condo market have a little bit of a pullback versus the single family detached.
So you had this influx of people that came in to scoop up these condos for that short-term investment, Airbnb kind of game. And then over a few of those years with, insurance companies and premiums going up, these special assessments kind of getting hit. Again, if you are interested in a condo, like to purchase for retirement stuff, like you got a plethora of choices.
Yes.
We will score you an amazing deal on a condo because there's a lot of them available because of those reasons that some people are offloading them, right? They have an increase in the cost of the community and other, again, assessments, and it's just causing this influx of listings and a lower demand of buyers looking for those properties.
Yeah, that's very well said.
Yeah.
And the other piece is, and there are amazing resort-style condos at the lake, and we have clients, that's all they want. They don't want to deal with a dock. They don't want to deal with the yard. They don't want to deal with the house. They just want to dock. They want to lock it and leave it.
Yes.
And then also, we're finding, Scott, an interesting kind of phenomenon, I call it, people that have had a lakefront home for maybe a couple of decades, as they're getting older, they're transitioning to a condo because they want the lock it and leave it lifestyle too.
Me too.
But it is a flat out buyer's market within the condo market if that's what you're after.
If you're after it, I promise we're going to score you a good deal. All right, last category we want to touch base on are 7 figures and above, right? So these $1 million properties that you see here at the lake, transactions are about equal from last year to this year. We're up 1 transaction. We're up 4% from previous year. So talk to me a little bit about like these 7 figures, these $1 million properties that we have on the lake.
Yeah, absolutely. We're seeing a couple things, and just for perspective, and maybe we didn't talk about it in the beginning, is we're just coming out of winter.
Yeah.
Right? And so these stats are first quarter.
Yep.
But when you get into that $1 million plus property, they are dialed in, they're ready to go, they're generally speaking, they're fully furnished,
Yep.
and they're a turnkey for someone, whether they're using it for their family for a second home, if they are going to use it for an income property, whatever that might be, or primary residence. You can come to the lake and you can just bring your suitcase.
Yep.
That's another
Show
reason.
up.
Also, the thing that I think people may or may not understand is when you're in this price point, the docks are significantly more expensive. So the dock values can be $250,000 to $500,000 just in the dock value, right? And that whole lifestyle, which I know you've done some dock videos.
We'll do more dock videos, better one for sure.
But those homes command a different lifestyle of a boating lifestyle, so that's built in these prices a little bit.
Yep.
And sometimes when we talk with our
point.
new prospects, our new clients, they have to wrap their head around that there's furnishings and then there's the dock that's also included with the house. Yeah, absolutely.
Yep, so that's a big component. Obviously with these 7-figure homes, fully furnished, docks are included. That's a whole nother kind of conversation to kind of have. But I think as we go through these to kind of recap the video a little bit, your question of is this a good place for an investment? Your single family homes, waterfront, off lake, 7 figures and above continue to appreciate. They continue to give you your ROI that you're looking for. It continues to be a healthy place we know the condo community got a little saturated, right? But from a buyer's perspective, that gives you a great opportunity. So you can see the reason why behind on those condo communities. But then we think about, hey, what's it gonna look like moving forward? So what is Q2, or really what's 2025 look like? And we talked I don't know, maybe a month or two ago about this economic boom that's kind of coming into the area. You wouldn't have all of this outside investor influence if they didn't feel this was going to be a great area for their return on investment. So you have these big companies coming in and making an investment. You have the Oasis and Pin Seekers, and they're making investments into the airport and the amphitheater and casino and all of these outside influences coming in, which is going to continue to draw attraction. It's going to continue to bring in demand with the supply that we have.
Yeah, absolutely. Right? So we have currently under construction, we have $1 billion in commercial development under construction today, and we have another $1 billion under contract. It is the commercial side of the lake, and the features and the services and amenities are just booming, as you just alluded to.
Yep.
And one of the big ones that was just happened is the acquisition of the Lisi Fine Airport by Osage Beach.
Okay.
So now we've got 2 airports essentially for the larger people that have planes, for the larger planes, and trying to make it kind of a little regional economic small hub.
Cool.
Not the size of Columbia or Springfield, but that is massive for people that live in the far reaches of the country.
Yep.
To get in and out of the lake.
So clearly you would say with this outside investment through 2025, 26, and 27,
Yeah.
that's going to continue to just drive these numbers.
Yes, absolutely.
Like home values are going to tick up. The demand is going to continue to be there because all of this new development that's coming in. And so from hey, let's answer the question, is this a good place to invest? It's absolutely a smart investment, right? You're going to get your ROI. If you ever sell someday, you'll get your money back. If you're looking to do investments in short-term rentals, maybe we think about some single-family options and maybe not so much some condos. But it's still a very healthy place, and it's probably more healthy now than it's ever been. And I just feel that trend is going to continue. So I just felt it was important to step back a little bit and share some Q1 numbers. I know not the most exciting video in the world, but you ask the question all the time, is it a smart place? And I think it is. So whatever else that we can do to answer for you, call us, text us, email us. We'd love to jump on a Zoom call. Of course, if you come into town, we'd love to host you and show you around. So whatever we can do to help you with your relocation or purchase needs at Lake of the Ozarks, don't hesitate, reach out, let us know. And until then, we'll see you guys on the next video. Bye.